Hi everyone, Hoops here. Things have been a little bit quieter on the transfer rumours front for QPR over the past week or so, but there is still plenty going on at W12, including the release of 7 first team players, 10 development squad players, the renewal of 4 contracts, and the signing of a young new striker. There's also the news that Lyndon Dykes is in Scotland's provisional squad for Euro 2024, though perhaps more interestingly, Crystal Palace's Dykes and Eze has made Gareth Southgate's provisional squad ahead of the tournament. A piece of news that could considerably spice up his transfer saga and in turn the potential 20% fee we could receive for him this summer should he get a spot on the plane at the actual tournament. We've also had the confirmation of QPR's first pre-season match this summer, and even though the rumour mill is not quite as lively as it has been, there are still a couple of names floating around in the ether. So let's cover all of that and more in this latest Rangers Rumour Roundup. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. We'll kick things off with our outgoings. 7 first team players have departed QPR in the past couple of weeks, including Andre Dazelle, Osman Kukai, Aaron Drew, Stephen Duke McKenna, Jordan Archer, Albert Adoma, and now Joe Gubbins. None of these are particularly surprising announcement, but alongside the 10 development squad players being released, it does indicate a little bit of a change in tact under Christian Nauri to a more ruthless approach, and one that has QPR's best interest for the future at heart. Players like these leave all the time at clubs at the end of the season, and they have done for QPR in the past. But there is no doubt that a number of these players would have stayed on at QPR under Les Ferdinand and Lee Hughes. Albert Adoma being offered a 2-year extension on his contract in 2022 is the prime example. It was a deal that raised eyebrows at the time, and unsurprisingly it did turn out to be at the very least a year too long. You can't blame Albert at all, but a club that has been balancing on the tightrope of FFP as precariously as QPR have been over the past few years cannot afford to hand out those types of contracts to players past their sell-by date. Nauri has clearly cottoned onto this himself in his short time as CEO, and it's just another reassuring sign that we're moving closer to running like a proper modern football club. Ultimately, we're getting rid of players that aren't at the standard that they need to be, and we're freeing up budget in the process. Anyway, I wanted to use this as an opportunity to thank all of our departing players and wish them good luck for the future. And if you have any favourite moments yourself of any of these players in particular, then do feel free to leave those in the comments. Now, on the opposite side of things, we have a number of contract renewals and our first incoming of the summer. 20-year-old centre-back Henry Hawkins, who has been with the club since the age of 8, has extended his stay with the club. He's captained the under-18s and was a regular starter for the development squad this season. 18-year-old Jake Lee has signed his first professional contract with the club. He joined Rangers at the age of 12, started last season with the under-18s before progressing through to the development squad too. 20-year-old striker Alfie Lloyd has also extended his stay after joining Rangers from Yeovil Town in 2021. He's also spent time with the development squad as well as heading out on loan to the National League with Eastleigh, where he scored 5 times in 21 appearances. He spent some time out injured last season, so the club clearly see something in him to keep him around. And we know, of course, that Jimmy Dunn has also extended his stay at QPR, with the club activating the optional additional year that was in his contract. I know a lot of people were surprised that we haven't given him a bigger deal, but I imagine that if he continues to perform as he did in the second half of this season, next season, then that new contract won't be far off. And lastly, our first incoming of the season, 19-year-old striker Rowan Vaughan joined after 2 years at Burnley. He was on trial at QPR at the back end of last season, having spent most of his time playing for Burnley's under-18s, even ironically scoring a goal against Rangers in the FA Youth Cup back in January. Moving on to Euro 2024 now, and Lyndon Dykes has been called up to Steve Clarke's provisional Scotland squad and is very much expected to make that final 23-man squad when it's announced on the 7th of June. Dykes has been rotated a bit more often up front for Scotland in the lead up to the tournament, with Lawrence Shankland and Shay Adams sharing the pitch time. But Dykes does still boast the most goals of any of the forwards that have been called up for Scotland. And having come into a bit of goal scoring form at the tail end of the season for QPR, he is very likely to get some game time against Germany, Hungary and Switzerland in Group A. In fact, Scotland play in the opener against Germany on the first day of the tournament, so he's hoping Dykes gets off the mark quickly with the world watching and gets himself a price tag ahead of the summer transfer window. Now, as I say, probably more interestingly, former Rumour Eze has also been called up for his country, making Gareth Southgate's 33-man pre-Euro 2024 squad. Very much deserved after an excellent season with 11 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League in 27 appearances. Unfortunately, Southgate has overpacked that squad to the point where he'll have to cut 7 players before that deadline of the 7th of June, meaning Eze will have to do all he can to impress and earn himself a spot on the plane. There's already talks of interest from City, United and Spurs ahead of the summer, but just think what could happen if he earns himself some game time at the tournament, or better yet, a few goal involvements. The bigger the fee this summer, the bigger the slice QPR is going to get. And of course, putting the selfishness of our summer budget aside, Eze really does deserve to feature in that team somehow. He brings something very different to that midfield and he could be a bit of a secret weapon for the Free Lions. In other news, QPR's first pre-season friendly has been announced, with the R's set to play Reading away on Saturday the 27th of July, just 2 weeks before the championship begins. That probably won't be our first or last pre-season fixture, but it's good to see the first one go in, and in the meantime I'll continue to cross my fingers for an Ibiza Cup Part 2. We'll round off this video with a few transfer rumours. TalkSport are reporting that QPR are one of multiple clubs, including Portsmouth and Derby, that are in the hunt for 29-year-old winger Jacob Murphy, whose contract with Oxford United is set to expire next month after his brace sent them up to the Championship last weekend. Twin brother of Newcastle's Jacob Murphy, Josh scored 10 goals and collected 6 assists in League One this season. There's also talk that Hull City, West Brom, Southampton and Sunderland are also monitoring his situation. Admittedly, I would be surprised if this one is 100% concrete for QPR. I can't really see us going in for a winger that turns 30 next season. However, he is going to be available on a free. His wages are unlikely to be extortionate at Oxford United, and maybe that reflects that the budget isn't quite as freed up as we might think it is this summer. Interest in Jake Clarke-Salter also continues to bubble away, with Bournemouth and Burnley also joining Crystal Palace's interest, though Football Insider also note that Celtic are very much still interested and hope that the lure of Champions League football will be enough to win his signature. And bizarrely, another QPR player that has been linked with both Bournemouth and Celtic is Asmir Begovic. Alan Nixon reports that the Cherries are looking to bolster their cover at goalkeeper this summer, though there has also been some murmurs that Begovic is interested in extending his stay at W12. That one doesn't really make a lot of sense to me unless he's taking a serious pay cut. Right, well that's all for this Rangers Rumour Roundup. If you've enjoyed it and you want to stay updated, then please do hit like and subscribe. It really helps me to grow the channel and reach to more people. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers!